Welcome to Family Gamer TV. I'm here with Chris Hecker, independent game designer. Is that right?
That'll do.
Yeah. And so you're known recently for SpyParty. That's
right.
how I came across you.
Yep.
But I'm sure your development.
I'm old.
Goes
I'm older.
back.
I'm older than I look.
Yeah.
I'm 41. So.
Okay.
And I have a 9-year-old. So there you go.
Maybe you could just describe what SpyParty is. What's unusual about it?
So it's pretty unusual. So it's an indie game. It's a small indie. I'm making it by myself basically. So the game is it's very different. So it's imagine a cocktail party, like Casino Royale-esque James Bond type of film, and all the usual suspects from spy and mystery fiction are at the cocktail party. There's the James Bond guy with his tuxedo, and the ingenue with the slip dress, and the Miss Marple type character, and the general from the third world country, and the Banana Republic type guy, and dictator type guy, and the mad scientist in the wheelchair. All these characters, and.
And some female characters there as well?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be the most diverse game ever. So there will be, young and old, of all colors, races. Well, there will probably not be children for reasons that we'll talk about that in a second. But there will be certainly 20-somethings through 80-year-old octogenarian people.
Nice.
There will be handicapped, there will be all races, all sexual orientations, and all of them are playable. So the person in the wheelchair is just as good as a playable character as the studly James Bond guy.
Yeah.
So there's this Casino Royale-esque cocktail party with all the usual suspects from spy mystery films. One player is the spy and picks one of these characters. Maybe they pick the James Bond guy, maybe they pick the Miss Marple character or whatever. Controls that person at this cocktail party. All these people at the cocktail party are controlled by the computer. They're all non-player characters, as we say, NPCs. There's an AI controlling all of them, and they're all just doing cocktail party things, like having drinks, flirting with each other, looking at the artwork, looking at books, looking out the window, do all of these normal cocktail party, just totally generic cocktail party kind of things in a mansion. The spy possesses one of those characters, takes control, and is controlling that character, and has to act like they're at the party, right? So they're having drinks too, they're talking to other people, flirting, whatever. But they're also at the same time trying to accomplish spy missions. And these missions are all tropes from spy and mystery fiction type things, where plant a bug on the ambassador, poison someone's drink, swap out the priceless statue with a fake, put the microfilm in the dead drop, that sort of thing. You're trying to blend in with this party, but you're also trying to accomplish things that actually stand out a little bit. Meanwhile, looking in at the party is the other player, who's the sniper, and they can have a scope, and they can see, and they can hear what's going on, and they're trying to figure out which of those people is the spy and separate them out from the party. It's a really intense game because it's very asymmetric. The spy and the sniper are playing in the same game world, but at completely different roles. The spy is all about deception, whereas the sniper's game is all about perception. And trying to figure out what's going on. And so as the sniper, you might think it might be easy, but actually there's so much information with 20 people at this party. The sniper has a very hard time, sifting through the information. So there's all these mechanics that allow them to, keep track of that person, because I think I saw him do something suspicious, but I wanted to dedicate all of my attention to him because then I might miss something over here. Things like that. Whereas the spy can see the laser sight of the there's the little red laser coming in through the window where the sniper is looking, so they know when they can do things, when they can't.
So I can't do it now because
but you don't know exactly where. I mean, there's a big field of view around that, so it's he could be pointing it over there, but still looking at the corner of his eye over here and things like that. So it's a very intense game. It's a very player skill oriented game, like a game like StarCraft or Counter-Strike is player skill. You have to be very good. A good player will just destroy a newbie player. But the player skills are people skills. They're about behavior and perception and deception and these things that aren't shooting or slashing up orcs or any of the normal game stuff. So it's really different in that sense, but it's a really intense game. And I was going to say that the end game is over when either the spy accomplishes the set number of missions within the time limit, or the sniper chooses someone and shoots them. And so just because it's Family Gamer TV, it's interesting. I have a 9-year-old, and so she was really afraid of the sniper shot. It uses a traditional movie-style sniper shot sound. The game's over as soon as you pull the trigger.
So you don't see anyone collapse to the floor?
They do collapse. There's no blood or anything like that. But the interesting thing is that it's a very filmic use of violence, right? There's no violence in the actual game. The game you're playing is trying to figure out who this person is. As soon as the violence happens, the game's over, right? And so it's very filmic. It's the threat of violence is what makes it intense. Whereas most games are just how many bullets do I have? But then, even then, my daughter, because it's so intense, that sound of like people scream and like the shot fires, and so for her I was going to put an arrest mode in because the gameplay does not change at all. If the sniper simply says arrest that person and the bouncers come in and grab him and drag him out, then there's absolutely no violence whatsoever, but it's exactly the same game. So I'm actually really curious as a game designer, both to support that, but also to see how that changes the feel. Like, if you knew you were going to be arrested versus being shot, like, how does that change the feel? Even though, like, it's really, at the base game mechanical sense, exactly the same, right? The sniper identifies the person they think is the most likely. One of the themes, one of the aesthetic goals of the game is for the sniper, the spy as well in some more subtle ways, but this idea of making consequential decisions with partial information. Like, so much of life nowadays is, and science and modern life is about not actually knowing 100%, global warming, like there's a whole bunch of issues like this where it's like, we have a pretty good idea what's going on, but we don't know for sure, but we have to make these really consequential decisions about the economy or about, society's direction society goes in, but not knowing. And so like the game kind of mirrors that in some way where you're making these very consequential decisions, who is it? But I don't totally know. I want the player to have that uncomfortable feeling of like, I've got to make a choice here, and I'm pretty sure, but I'm not. Like, I think he's acting funny, but I'm not really sure. And let's find out. And this is like tension of like, you pull the trigger, or you have them arrested or whatever, and you're like, yes, it was right, or oh, it was wrong. Okay, what did you do? And then there's a chat, where you figure out what you did.
So that's quite different to what I imagine goes on when other people make games that they just turn out. It seems almost by default they become violent because that's what video games are. But what I want to get at is, what's different? Do you come equipped as a game designer with different skills, maybe? What's informing those sort of cultural choices and that ethical bent of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, so for one thing, there's a small group of people in the game industry, hopefully growing, that think that games have this potential to be like kind of the art and entertainment form, the preeminent art and entertainment form of the 21st century. Kind of the way film was to the 20th, right? I mean, if you had to think about it, it's not like film is better than painting or literature or music or anything like that, but if one art and entertainment form that kind of spoke to society over the 20th century, clearly film was it. It was like the big, kind of had this huge impact. And I think that some of us believe that games could be that for the 21st century.
Well, viewers of Family Game TV will have seen a previous episode where we took the video game Flower and we played it in a cathedral in Exeter in the UK as part of their worship service. So it wasn't just a novelty, it actually became part of this response to God, and actually it worked very well. So
that's cool, Flower is actually one of my, I made a joke the other day on Twitter, Flower is one of my daughter's favorite games, and I know Genova and those guys, and it would be great to do, too bad it's only PS3, because it would be great to do a pack-in of SpyParty and Flower, because Flower is so relaxing and SpyParty is so intense that you'd like, okay, you've been playing SpyParty enough, now go play a map and a level in Flower. Okay, now come back and like, because you're
so
like,
one complements the other.
Yes, exactly. I mean, just SpyParty is very much like chewing nails. Like, it's just so tense when you're just like, either side. Different people find different sides more or less tense. But then you're like, I just relax into Flower. I'm just gonna fly around for a bit. I'm gonna gather up some petals. Like, it'll be okay.
Yeah. And so you were saying SpyParty is PC only? Is that right?
No. Right now it's PC only. But then eventually I want it to be on all the consoles. So. Assuming all the consoles are around by the time I ship, I've got a long way to go. But like, XBLA, a $15 XBLA game is a perfect thing for that. I'm talking to Nintendo about Wii U. It's a perfect Wii U game. So they actually contacted me because like the hidden information you can get, the spy can play on the controller while the sniper's in the same room.
And you can have multiple snipers.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of different modes there. So.
That gets my vote.
No. So I mean, I'm talking to them. I have a dev kit actually, a Wii U dev kit. So it's just, the question is when I can find the time to like actually do it. Basically, there's this kind of category of what I call AAA indie games now, like Braid, Castle Crashers, World of Goo, Trials HD, all of these games that are like these big $15 very high quality games, right? And so SpyParty I want to fit into that basically. So it's like XBLA, PSN. Steam, PC, all the iPad eventually, probably that kind of thing.
What we're interested to find out is sort of what is it about this sort of up and coming breed of developers, that community, that's meant that you've created these sorts of games rather than the sort of derivative games that maybe and what skills or what's in your background?
Yeah. So I think so. Getting back to that, that whole idea that games could potentially, be the preeminent art form of the 21st century, if we don't screw it up, kind of the way that like comic books got screwed up last. It was just too much superheroes, right? I mean, there are great comic books, but they're kind of in a cultural ghetto. And so there's a fair number of people now, a growing number of people who believe that, and to do that, you kind of have to decide games have to be more than they are. And so you look at something like, you go into a bookstore, And just if you have a rational eye towards it, like you just go to a bookstore and you look at the wide array of books about everything from cooking to like 5,000 books on romance to and you go into a game store and it's like, you want to kill orcs or do you want to kill other dudes in armor, right? Like, and so it's just clear that we have to make games about different stuff. And as soon as you try and do that, it's not like you have to have a different ethics system or a different set of genes to make it possible to do that. You just don't want to do that, and then you start to run into these problems that you want to solve. So like, for example, there's gameplay laying all over the floor in just doing games about people. Like I added drinks because I was going to do the poison drink mission. I don't even have the poison drink mission in yet, but drinks became gameplay. Because you don't want to drink, you can't bug the ambassador. If I'm holding a drink in this hand, you can't bug the ambassador on that side. So now I want to either be on this side or get rid of my drink. But if I drink my drink too fast, that's a little bit of a tell. And so it's just, there's such an unexplored territory. There's gameplay everywhere. So I just don't understand why people don't do it. I mean, you go, this is E3, right? So I was just down on the show floor looking around and man, there's a lot of games that are exactly the same. Yeah, and I just don't understand why people want to work on them.
Did nobody think, wait a minute, what would happen if this wasn't violent? It's like, well, that doesn't seem to come up.
Right, totally. So it's like, or even if you're going to have a violent game, like, I don't have any problem with violence gratuitous violence is just stupid, but there was an example from E3 a few years ago where, or a long time ago, remember Fight Club, the movie? It was not actually about fighting. Yeah. Right? It was about society and all this stuff. Yeah. And what did the game they made out of it was a fighting game. Like, two dudes on either side, it's just like, what?
Did they not watch the film?
Yeah, I know. And so Warren Spector, as a friend of mine, was walking around with David, whatever his name, the scriptwriter of the film. He was walking around showing him E3, and that was during that year, and he saw the Fight Club game. He's like, who do I sue? But it's just true. It's like it just misses the point completely. Yeah. People aren't trying, really. There's nothing special. It's just the act of trying. It's like, I want to make a game about human behavior. The first time I showed the game publicly was PAX West 2010. And everyone was like, oh, this is a great game. I'm really very lucky, knock on wood, or whatever that's made out of, that it's fun already. So it's a $15 paid beta. Okay. You get the game when it's done, obviously for free. But it's like, that's why, and there's 13,000 people signed up, and that'll fund the development of the game.
We don't need to advertise the fact.
yes, SpyParty.com.
I mean, are you looking for more people? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, right now you can't get into the beta directly. You sign up, and then I email you later, because I'm trying to limit the number of people who get in while I'm still getting its footing.
Okay, so you can go to SpyParty.com, but we'll put a link in the show notes.
Okay, great, So, and you sign up, and it's just an email address right now, and then I have a script that'll send you email later. But right now, the waiting list is a while, but I do random invites from the whole list, so you can eventually sometimes get miracled in. But eventually, hopefully during the summer, I'll have opened it completely up. Once I can send that 5,000 emails and my whole server infrastructure doesn't die, then I can just open it up and let people come in as fast as they want. But we're a little ways away from that still. Doing it by yourself. There's a lot of things to get in ducks in a row.
Yeah. Well, we're really looking forward to playing it.
Oh yeah, thanks.
And see more of it.
Yeah, I'll send you an invite.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yes.
Aim to sort of keep track and see how it develops, because I think it's really fascinating. So
thanks a lot.
Thanks for your time.
It's very different at the very least. Yeah, thank you very much.
Cool.
Bye.
That's what we've got time for with this Family Gamer TV, but we'll be back soon.